Okay, welcome to the first monthly podcast for Retzone.ca. I am Chris, and to keep this confusing, we have another Chris and a Ramon, if you guys want to introduce yourselves.
Hi everyone, this is Ramon, a Ramish Index on the channel.
This is Chris, and I'm not the first Chris, I'm the second Chris.
Not confusing at all.
Not confusing at all.
And later on, there may be a third Chris, just to make this even more interesting. So,
Oh joy.
so 3 Chris's and a Ramon. Maybe we should just rename the podcast, you know?
It's like 3 men and a baby.
Triple kill!
I'm Tom Selleck. So today we are going to be talking about modern games that have retro game aspects to it. We have a list of games that we're going to go through, and we're going to discuss how they work and if people are interested in this or not. Or
Do you want to redo that intro there? I just want to, like I said, do we want to try doing a couple different intros so we get something to play with?
Sure.
All right.
Right.
All right, so I'll do an intro then.
Go ahead.
All right, so welcome to the Retzone podcast, and we're going to be talking about retro elements in modern games. So there's going to be things we're talking about like The Messenger. We're going to be talking about River City Girls, Streets of Rage, all sorts of games like that. I'm Chris, and there's going to be more than me. There's also Ramon, and there is also Chris. You did not hear an echo. Here's Ramon.
Hey, this is Ramon, this is Ramish Index on the channel. Welcome to the new Red Zone podcast. I'll give it over to other Chris.
I'm the other Chris from Retzone.ca. You've probably heard me on some of our Retzone videos, including the Hyper Scam video that we did.
Yep, that was a fun one. We got hyper scammed, so...
Yes, so we got the t-shirts to prove it.
Oh, definitely. Soon-ish. Sorry, trademark. Ha!
All right, what do you think? I think that was good.
That was very good. You're
All
better at this than I am.
All right, so I mean, we're gonna be doing editing to this afterwards, so we'll just cut out all our blah blah blahs, or we keep it in there because we find it
Because authenticity and
They're
all
so
that stuff.
authentic. That's
It's
why.
it's like 100%.
we are BGA graded authentic.
Absolutely.
We are unscripted and off the cuff, so
It's like no holds barred.
please
We're
bear
so
with-
off the cuff we're not even wearing shirts.
Oh boy.
And this is our first
leave that
podcast
to your
together,
imagination.
so there's going to be lots of bleepings.
Yeah, we're just gonna have
probably.
some fun with it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the fun part.
Welcome to demonetization.
Demonetized.
Dun dun dun.
All right, so let's get started here. So we're going to be talking about, like I said, some of the retro elements and games that have been coming out recently. So, for example, I said The Messenger. Fantastic game. If you never played it, highly suggest playing it. Plays like Ninja Gaiden. It's really tight controls. Really fun game. The difficulty definitely ramps up. Like, I don't know how much you guys have played, how far you gotten in it at all.
I've only gotten like maybe just the first part, but I can tell you it really does play like Ninja Gaiden. It's
Yeah.
got that difficulty like right
Yeah.
from the go.
Oh
But
yeah, like, I think right when it gets to like the cloud stage, it suddenly you just hit this brick wall of difficulty where it's like, oh my god. Like,
I cannot get past the boss that shoots the seeds at you.
Seed boss.
Seed boss.
I don't remember that one.
She floats in the air and she shoots these seeds down, and if the seeds touch you, they hurt you and trap you.
Oh, okay.
I haven't been able to get. I've probably tried for hours to get past her, and I just can't.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so obviously I'm gonna be the one talking about this game then. Like I
Yes.
said, fantastic game. I mean, obviously everybody who gets to play it, you're gonna get a feeling for what the game is all about. Pretty much what it's doing is taking an 8-bit style, and it also takes a 16-bit style. So as you're going through the game, there's time travel elements where you're going back and forth, and you're switching
Spoilers.
between the 8 and the 16. I know, spoilers. Do we need to put spoiler tags and stuff?
No,
like
not
this?
really.
no, the spoilers just for me because I was looking
didn't
at.
know that?
I was looking for the screenshots of the game, and I'm like, are we talking about the same game here?
It's like, are
'Cause
you
I'm
sure?
Because I'm stuck in the 8-bits. I didn't even know
You
there was
didn't even get to the 16-bit world yet.
No, because I can't get past that one boss that just keeps kicking my ass.
You gotta get to that last
Hey,
processing,
you got
man.
You got some homework now. Got some homework to do now.
I need some coaching.
So we'll try to keep it a little bit brief on the games here, but like I said, fantastic game. I highly recommend it for anybody
It's
who loves
really
the Ninja Gaiden series. Like I said, the gameplay is really tight, great visuals, super fun game.
Yeah, it's got that 8-bit like NES palette going on.
Yeah, and even like the sound too. You even got the sound on it too that they tried to emulate like the. I don't want to say like the tinny because that's more like a Genesis. It's got like the.
I almost said SID chip, but that's Commodore 64. What's the chip in the
I'm
NES?
trying to think of what
The NES, this NES sound chip.
Yeah, like I mean, if you play it, you'll hear that sound where it's got that like
Chip tune kind of sound.
yeah,
to
chip
it.
tune.
Yeah.
That's the word I was
Yeah.
looking for. It's got
It's
that chip tune style to it that's just like fits perfectly with what they're trying to do.
Absolutely. It's no Master System, audio or anything, but it's like the NES like sound chip for
they know what they
sure.
were trying to emulate, and they just did a fantastic job.
Like
of doing that.
fantastic.
Especially having the two styles where you have the 8 and the 16. It's
It depends if you're talking about the SMS with or without the FM.
Yeah, but this one's like distinctly NES, but
yeah,
we all know
they,
we want
they know
the
what
FM.
they're playing at.
They know what they're doing.
No, it's really good. I really love the controls in that game. It's
Yeah. Oh, I like I said, I couldn't recommend it enough. That was definitely a game that I played start to finish, like 100%. Like I was just like couldn't get enough of it. It's so much fun.
Absolutely. And if you're an Xbox Game Pass subscriber, it's on there. So you
Yeah,
totally give it a shot.
So check it out. That's The Messenger. Next one we're talking about is Blazing Chrome. This one definitely plays a lot like it's kind of like Contra Hardcores, where you had multiple characters and had like a little bit of differences to each character.
It really looks like Contra 3 to me, the Super Nintendo one.
Yeah, like there's
good
definitely
enough.
some of the boss fights where it had that like I think the visual style they went for was like you said, like Contra 3.
Because it's got the sprite scaling and the rotation and
Where you kind of had that effect of like when things are moving forward and back from the background, they have that sprite scaling on it. It's kind of just that neat effect on it.
and the parallax scrolling.
Yeah, it kind of feels like almost like a Neo Geo game.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
a lot. I mean, you could definitely like view this game. It's like if this came out, like if you said like late '90s, it would fit like right in there, and you wouldn't even think that it was. You wouldn't even think it was like a new game.
Right.
Because I think the final boss had the parallax scrolling on it, where it had like the obstacles kind of coming at you.
I have sadly not played this game yet.
Really? Oh, what is wrong with you?
I only found out about it because of this podcast.
And now,
And I'm like, oh, I got to buy this. And then I just never got around to buying it because,
And now you have a
because
reason to
running a
play.
YouTube channel is very, very hard.
But with the run and gun style, it's essentially just I'm being reminded of Metal Slug here. So
Yeah, I mean, it definitely harkens back to a lot of the run and gun style games. Like I've used the example of Contra, just because I think the visual style really draws from like Contra Hardcore and things like the multiple characters and the bosses and stuff like that. Like even some of the boss fights, like we got a photo up here. You're fighting a giant robot. It's like pulled like almost right out of Contra 3. Like it's just it's another one. Same thing. Can't recommend it enough. I loved it. Played the hell out of it. Super fun game.
Is this on any consoles? Because the version I saw was Steam.
Well, it's on Xbox.
Oh,
So
okay.
most of these I played on Xbox. I think it's on PS4. I'm pretty sure most of these will actually be on like PS4, Switch, Xbox.
Multiplat.
Pretty much all the pretty much every multi-platforms.
I'll have to check that out because this seems like a game I'd like to play with a console and a controller.
Yeah, I think it's got difficulties too, so you can select like an easier difficulty if you don't want to go like Nintendo hard on yourself.
Are you trying to say something? just come on and say it.
I mean, we'll just we'll talk about that when we get to Cuphead, right?
I mean,
It's not like you get upset
boy.
about that one and stop playing because you're like it's too hard.
yeah. Let's not talk about how many times I rage
That's
quit.
okay. I'm
rage
not
quit
gonna rag on you
Cuphead.
for not
It's
playing.
not
hard
that
games.
time yet, boys.
I know. Not gonna rag on you too much yet.
Not yet.
So that was Blazing Chrome. Again,
My
another one
argument
if you
is,
like running guns.
is I have a life and I can't
Yeah.
All right.
try to beat the same boss for 3 hours. I just can't do that.
All right.
Good.
Sure.
I'm old.
Yeah. So next one.
Okay, let's get to the next one.
Celeste. This was actually it's not really based on the style of any old game. It's just kind of got that pixel art style to it.
This one I've played. This one I really like. This is more of a puzzle element game.
Yeah, it's
I
a
wa-
lot more like simplistic, just like platformer.
I want to say like Meat Boy-ish in a way.
That was the first one actually that came
Simplified
to mind for me.
Metroid or something. It's like almost like to me Metroidvania, but I don't really think so either.
I would definitely compare it more to like Meat Boy. Like it's got that high level of difficulties, just a tight platformer. It was. I played a little bit of it. It's definitely the art style for it definitely draws from that. Like I know a lot of the art style for these games. It's one of those things almost they could focus more on the gameplay as opposed to the graphics because you know what your art style is going to look like. It's simple. Hey, your pixel art. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. And you can just take it and you can focus on having good gameplay. And I think that's a big draw for a lot of these games, is that it's that nostalgic, tight gameplay of those games you remember when you were a kid that you're like, wow, you played like Contra and you're like, wow, that game controls really well. And that just it just gives you that feeling of just being really in control of your character.
It's got really tight controls and it's got that beautiful pixel art.
Yeah.
Like that Terraria style.
Yeah, Terraria's
exactly.
a fantastic game too. I love that one.
I mean, like a good example of a game that has really good gameplay, but retro style graphics is like Minecraft, for example. Like,
yeah. I never really got into Minecraft. I like Terraria though. Terraria is more.
I finished Terraria. I love Terraria. I cannot get into Minecraft, but I do recognize that it's got great gameplay and it's got that really blocky graphics that I like. But I just can't get into Minecraft.
Where it's you don't have to focus so much on the graphics for it because we're just gonna go simplistic. We're not having 3D artists and everything like that, and you could just focus on your gameplay and you could just.
Yeah, it's like you have a budget of $1 million, and it's like you want to put 3/4 of it into gameplay, and then you want to spend the last quarter of it on graphics, right?
Yeah, it's still got that charm to it though, where people they look at it, they enjoy it. We're kind of went off topic there of Celeste. I think we all played it a little bit. It's kind of like I said. There's not much a whole lot to say about Celeste. It's a fun game. Check it out. It's good platformer. Just it's pretty fun. And Axiom Verge.
Ooh.
This is, I think, our first Metroidvania one.
Yep.
Yeah, unfortunately, I own this game, but I've never gotten around to playing it. But the screenshot I grabbed here is just like 8-bit Metroid from the NES.
It's got that gritty, NES style that you associate with like really more darker NES games.
Yeah, like it's almost like. I won't say like it's like a Super Metroid almost is what I draw as a parallel for it. Like it's kind of got that. It's not quite that 8-bit. It's a little bit more high fidelity than that. But
it's going to like Super Nintendo 16-bit.
Yeah,
a little bit.
It's more like that 16-bit style. But that's a Metroidvania game. I haven't actually played this one much. It's been on my backlog along with the other 1,000 or so games.
We all got backlogs here, so
no shame.
Me and
Ramon were talking about backlogs earlier today. It's like,
We're not talking about that today, but remember, it does exist.
Let's not focus on the depressing backlogs. Let's just move on here.
It's Axiom Verge. We all need to try this.
Absolutely.
I have a sealed copy for PS4, and I'm actually looking at it right now. It's calling to me.
It's like play me.
And then River City Girls.
Oh, this one's a real joy to play for sure.
I like this one. Chris, I think you were just like, I don't know. Who was saying? One of you two was saying
it was me. I played it, and it's just like, it just feels... It's really odd, because it feels very repetitive to me. Yet, at the same time, one of my all-time favorite games is Final Fight. And Final Fight is very repetitive. But at the same time, it's very satisfying to be able to group like 4 guys together and literally beat the crap out of them at the same time. But this game... is the same thing, but I don't know. I just don't get the same satisfaction out of it.
I mean, to me, this game more feels like I think what they're going for was, exactly a sequel to River City Ransom. So you still have things like you have the shops, and you have the
that's true.
Your weapons, and you can level up your skills and stuff like that. So it's still it's kind of like that beat 'em up with like a little bit of RPG elements where you just have like a leveling system and stuff like that. I know some of the other beat 'em ups have been trying to do that too, where they're add a little bit more flavor to the game, so to speak.
Which is fine. I don't mind that at all, but
I think this one is definitely more like if you like River City Ransom, like there's a lot of like just like nods to stuff. Like even with Billy and Jimmy Lee from Double Dragon are both appear in the game.
Bimmy and Jimmy, you mean?
Yeah, Bimmy. Good old Bimmy and Jimmy.
Dang.
They appear in the game. There's a lot of like little like nods, I guess, to the original River City Ransom. You have Kunio-kun, like we were saying, we were kind of discussing earlier. You have Kunio-kun, and there you have Ricky. Like I said, to me, it's kind of like it's almost like a direct sequel to the original River City Ransom, which is a game I used to love playing. So it's I'd say if you like River City Ransom, check out River City Girls. Gotta know what to expect going into any kind of beat 'em up game. You gotta know where it's drawing from and kind of set your expectations to that.
It feels like a very high quality Genesis game to me. Like, it looks great, it sounds great. I mean, I like the combat in it, but I just can't put my finger on why it's just not satisfying.
Yeah, I mean, I think for some games though, there's always going to be that like trigger that kind of like hits for some people and just doesn't quite hit for others. You're like something about it just kind of feels. Like
I
it's
do
missing.
like it, but it's just not. It's not Final Fight. Like Final Fight is.
Yeah, I mean, for you,
For me,
one that we're going to be discussing a little bit later, like Streets of Rage 4. That's going to be one that's
Yeah.
going to trigger. I think
Oh
that
yeah,
triggers more for
we're
you.
gonna get to that for sure.
Yeah, I think that triggers more for you guys than does for me because that one was like I was never huge on Genesis. I enjoyed it, but like I don't have that same nostalgia for like Streets of Rage as I do for like Battletoads or River City Ransom. Like those kind of resonate more with me.
Right, and definitely with this game, I think if you can actually play this in co-op, it's actually kind of more fun because you got like another buddy with you and kind of.
Oh, definitely. I think with any beat 'em up game, like it's almost designed to be to play with your friends. And I can never remember if it's mode A or mode B where you don't beat the crap out of each other.
I think mode B.
I always hate
That
that.
friendly fire.
I think mode B is
swear-
friendly fire.
I swear every time I've ever played like Double Dragon with a buddy, we'd go and we'd play and we'd be looking at it and be like, which one do we beat each other up? I don't remember. Okay,
Stop picking me up. Stop picking me up. Oh damn it! You killed me.
No, why the hell did you do that?
You go to mode A and all of a sudden you kick crap out of each other. You get just a flying knee to the face. You're like, oh crap. Okay, yeah.
Friendly fire. Who
just
the
go
hell
back.
designed this?
Yeah.
Why did they make your co-op partner the best weapon in the game? I mean,
Yeah.
like,
Well, I mean, it's also
It's like it's almost designed that way. I think that's what they got.
Well, you gotta figure based like so Double Dragon, for example, is based on an arcade game, right? So it's almost like they took that like, it's gotta be a quarter eater. How do we eat more quarters? Why don't you beat each other up?
Just
like,
like profit.
Yeah.
Watch your profit soar.
not only are you fighting the bad guys in the game, but you're also trying to avoid hitting your partner.
Exactly.
Sometimes
You go
trying
to the
to
top,
avoid.
I'll go to the bottom, and just don't hit each other. Stop crossing over to my side. I swear that was like every argument when you're a kid playing a beat 'em up game
That
all
one,
the time.
definitely. And remember, River City Girls. This was developed by what? Way Forward.
Yeah,
And
it's by Way Forward.
it's like they are basically known for like Shantae, and they know their way around the platformer for sure.
Yeah.
These are the Shantae guys.
Yeah,
Yeah, these are the Shantae
I
guys.
was discussing it a little bit before the podcast.
Yeah, it's
here.
like if you have the card for Shantae, like for Game Boy Color, you are sitting on a gold band right now.
Yeah.
I don't have any Shantae games.
You probably should.
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple for PS4. Like, I have Shantae and Pirate's Curse, I think it is.
I've seen videos of Shantae, and I'm like, oh, this looks like Aladdin. And just
like
sort of.
and just
Kinda,
like Aladdin.
It's like a cutesy platformer. Like, it's fun. Like, they're good platformer games. I
And
think
it's-
they also did Double Dragon Neon.
Yes.
I
Which
think
is,
yes.
That is
I don't think
correct.
we actually had that on the list to talk about, but that is a fantastic game. And it's one of those games, I'm just going to get into this now just because I'm on the topic.
Which would they release this on? Neon.
I know it's on X. I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. Like, it's Xbox,
Multiplat.
PlayStation. I don't know if it's on the Switch, though.
I don't remember it being on the Switch, but
Yeah, just look it up quick. Double Dragon Neon. Just see
let's
if
just
it
have a
was-
look because this is a little interesting.
Double Dragon Neon is fantastic. I love that game. Like that's.
Oh, there's a
definitely,
Switch. There's a
like,
Switch
okay,
trailer
so
for.
it is on the Switch. That's definitely like it knows what it is, and it kind of parodies itself too in the fact that like in the original games you had you had the Williamses, right, and it was like the basic generic enemy. And in this game they kind of make fun of that because
Majesco spotted.
Oh,
Was it?
Oh, Majesco. No.
published by Majesco, but developed by Way Forward. There's a,
okay, so this one's actually done by Way Forward, wasn't it?
and then you got Arc System Works
Yeah,
for
it was,
the
okay.
Japanese release.
So is this a reboot of Double Dragon? A remake? Or
It's more like a sequel.
oh, okay.
Like it's kind of like it.
How have I not played this? PS.
20
It's one. I
2012.
think it's one of those things that kind of like it fell under the radar. Like it came out and it was like nobody. I don't think it was really like that retro style had not really come out as much. It wasn't as big as it is now. Like I think if it came out now, it would do a lot better than it did. Then.
2012 had the retro scene in 2012 was huge. At least for me, it was.
Yeah. Well, I think I mean, just kind of jumping off topic a little bit, going back.
Go
here.
ahead. This is a podcast. Anything goes.
Yeah, I know. I think most of the retro style stuff started, I think, around like 2007 because you have like I Want to Be the Guy was I think one of those games that kind of like first started a lot of this where it was a new game that was still using like that pixel art style of games, and that was one of those like flash games that kind of like came out and people played it and loved it, and it kind of like it almost like it started that snowball of other companies being like, well, an independent developer could go and they could make a game that they didn't have to worry about doing the graphics for it. It's just simple gameplay. We're going to take an idea. We're just going to kind of run with it.
You just need an existing IP to base it off on most of the time.
Well, a lot of
But
them now
not
they've started to do
always.
that because you have things like, River City Girls, you have things like Double Dragon Neon, you also have, I think it started getting big around probably 2010-ish, I'd say is when it really started picking up because they had Mega Man, was it 9? Yeah, Mega Man 9 was really the first big release that started doing they went back to the original art style of Mega Man, and they're like, well, we're gonna make this like a Mega Man game we would have made in 1990.
And then they made it hard like the original Mega Man games, and then people are like, wow, did I actually used to be able to play games when I was a kid? Because I sure suck now.
You probably do. It's just let us face it, a lot of games are getting easier.
Oh yeah,
a lot of games are.
I mean,
but
it's kind of like it almost feels cyclical a little bit here, where you start having people want games that challenge you now. I mean, I know when Dark Souls came out, the big issue with that is people are it's just too hard. I can't get anywhere. But then it's almost like that. I think you need to be a certain kind of person to enjoy that. It's not masochistic.
Yes, that game is very masochistic. I rage quit that game.
It's the enjoyment of actually succeeding over a difficult challenge like that. You're presented with something that's extremely difficult, and when you overcome that feeling of I just beat that. And you have to have that mentality of just hammering away at it, because it's just it rewards perfection, basically.
Those patterns and all that. You start memorizing, the little tells and everything.
Yeah. I don't know for you guys whether you get that same enjoyment where it's oh, you beat a game, and it's well, okay, that was a pretty easy game. I beat it. It felt pretty good. But then when you beat a difficult game, you're wow, I came over that game. I accomplished something big.
Yes.
You get
that satisfaction for sure does exist.
I think that's that fine line, too, of drawing, how difficult a game is to progress, because you still want your players to be able to progress in your game. You don't want it to be well, they're stuck on the first level, they can't get anywhere.
It's good lord, if it's even just the tutorial, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Can I complain about something that tried to capitalize on the whole retro thing?
Sure.
Everybody's favorite game, Mighty Number 9.
Oh my god, that was a saga in itself.
They tried. So the guy who created Mega Man, whose name escapes me right now. Do you guys remember his name?
Anyway, KJ Inafune.
The guy that used to work for Capcom that created Mega Man left Capcom for whatever reason and decided to make Mighty Number 9, and he tried to capitalize.
I think it was he wanted to make a Mega Man game, but then he couldn't have the license for it because they're still owned by
Capcom owns it. So
yeah,
and I don't know what happened, but this was the worst game ever.
I don't know why.
The actual gameplay was terrible. The actual production of the game was terrible. It had massive slowdown, huge load times, and then the first, I want to say 30 minutes of the game, you just talk to people, and you don't actually get to play the game for 30 minutes. And I'm trying to play this thing, and I'm and then when you start playing it, it is just awful. The controls are awful. It has massive slowdown, and it's I'm just gonna go play Mega Man.
Yeah, well, I think the other thing with this game too is that I think he was supposed to do a sequel to Mega Man Legends as well.
That is right. Actually,
Red Ash or something.
Yes, the thing is, that's the problem. You got Mighty Number 9 basically on Kickstarter, then you start another Kickstarter for Red Ash, while freaking Mighty Number 9 is still not out. That just gives a bad taste in your mouth. It's the first one's not even done. Why are you making another Kickstarter?
Yeah.
There's an entire saga on this thing, but you can kind of see why people were objectively people super mad.
I mean, I think the other issue with stuff like that is really starts to define what makes a game good. It's not necessarily who came up with the idea for the game or stuff like that. There's so many people that get involved with it, and they all pour their heart and soul into making it, and then that really comes out with something special. And sometimes you just have the one person kind of go off on their own and do their own thing, and it's kind of
Exactly. My brain tells me that he was fired from Capcom. I don't know if that's true. Let us know in the comments if anybody knows.
I think it would just be speculation on it. But I mean, that game it's kind of like that dark stain on the history of the games this.
You see it in the bargain bin for $5, and it's nope.
No, it's not one.
That needs not to be sitting on my shelf.
Well, I mean, I could use some firewood.
Hard pass. You can't burn plastic. That's horrible for the environment.
Yeah, and with Mighty Number 9's problems is also the Kickstarter problem, where you start, promising a bunch of ideas to. It's you hit this goal and then you do this, and then you hit this goal and then you do this. It's
Fallout 76.
And remember, Mighty Number 9 was supposed to come out for at least. It's Mighty Number 9 was supposed to go for how many freaking platforms?
I know.
It's
It's one of those things where you overpromise and you under deliver like crazy, and that's always unfortunate. I mean, that's the issue with some of the Kickstarter. Like, I think some of that comes down to just project management of knowing, setting your scope and being like, this is what we're gonna do, and that's it. Like, you need to be able to draw the line at some point. Otherwise, you're just never going to come out.
No, just to clarify, I played the Wii U version, so if it does run better on other platforms, I apologize. But the Wii U port of that game, if it's a port,
I think I have it for Xbox. I'll have to go home and try to not kill myself playing it.
It's like a basic 32-bit 2D game, and it's like, why is there slowdown in this? Like the Wii U, it can play much more powerful games. Like
it absolutely
like Yoshi's Woolly World. I mean, that
was
that's fantastic.
Fantastic game.
Runs fantastic too. And then you play Mighty Number 9 in, which is like, I want to say, half the game, like for running it, and it's like, why does this run?
To be fair here, it's like an eighth of the game.
Oh yeah,
and the Wii U port actually almost.
Not say it's half the game.
I mean, it runs Breath of the Wild. The Wii U runs Breath of the Wild flawlessly, and you can't run Mighty Number 9.
It's just bad. That's just bad programming.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know if I guess it was rushed, or if you farmed it out to the wrong company, or
yeah.
And I think the Wii U port was apparently supposed to be canceled, and a lot of Kickstarter backers is basically saying, "Hey, where's our Wii U port?" So that's probably why it got the short end of the stick.
Yeah, I mean, oh man, just getting on the topic of Mighty Number 9. I know there's so many issues with it too because they had the.
I had to bring it up.
The Kickstarter,
sorry.
Yeah, I know the Kickstarter for it too when it came out. I think they had like the retro cases that you get with it.
Oh,
but then they were providing like the wrong cases with the wrong games. You get the wrong size and stuff like that. Like,
you gotta be kidding me.
There were so many things. Like, you could probably look this up. There's so many things that they did wrong with that game. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just going back to Mega Man 9 for a second. Did they actually release that on NES cartridges for a short time? Didn't they?
Kind of.
For
They had
a
like
time.
Well, they did it with Mega Man 9, 10, and they also did it with DuckTales Remastered, where they had like
right.
DuckTales Remastered.
They had the lunchbox press kits for them, where they came out.
That was kind of cool.
It was cool. Yeah, I've seen the DuckTales ones. I've seen those every now and then. And I'm always like, oh, that's cool. Like, I wouldn't mind having one of those. But I think they were like pretty much press kits. So I don't know if it actually plays on the NES or not. I would assume it doesn't.
But even if it doesn't, the casing is well cool enough. And I think to a lot of people that's
it's
enough.
really it's really hitting that home that your audience, what you're trying to do, what you want it to look like, how it's going to play, and you just like have everything kind of all encompassing for that. Like, even just, again, the style of the press kits where they had like actual NES cards that had what looks like Mega Man 9 on, because that's what they were going for. That's what they wanted.
I don't know if DuckTales Remastered would run on a Super NES, because I've personally never played it, but it kind of looks like 32-bit, kind of like PSX 2D graphics to me.
That's like the point where...
well, it's
or is it like
it's more like the.
Is it 3D with a 2D kind of?
It's more
like
2D.
It's like the 2.5D, I think, where it's kind of like they have like the background and everything are kind of like it gives it
hand drawn,
depth of 3D.
all that stuff.
Yeah, but like the art style and everything is more the hand drawn, like you'll see with Cuphead and stuff like that.
It's something like that. It's actually more similar to something like Cuphead.
Yeah, I'd say it's more similar to Cuphead. It's kind of like they're taking the old game and then they're remastering the graphics and like that. But they're still keeping the core of the game to be the same as what the original was. It's more just like a graphical.
It's like a uplift for sure.
Yeah.
I gotta play that. That must be on like Xbox Live, I guess.
For a time, I think
it was on 360. You could buy it. I don't know if you can still buy it because they have the Disney Afternoon Collection that's just like DuckTales, Rescue Rangers, Tailspin.
Yeah, that had like a bunch of games. I'm not sure if DuckTales was its own thing or...
Well, DuckTales Remastered was its own thing. They had a separate game.
Yeah.
But it's something to really, like actually take a look at because, they did a good job with that one.
I think it was delisted, actually. I think DuckTales Remastered was delisted... I'm
they
thinking
put it back.
2 years. Did they put it back?
They put it back.
Okay.
So you can actually purchase it again.
The issue with some of those things, too, is you get the licensing issues where they have the license for DuckTales, right?
Yeah, but they put it back like pretty recently, so you could actually buy the thing again.
Okay, so you can buy it. Okay, so that's good then.
So is it the first and second DuckTales, or is it just the first one?
First one.
Well, the Disney Afternoon Collection has got DuckTales. I think it has 1 and 2, Rescue Rangers 1 and 2, and it has Tailspin, and I think it has Darkwing Duck.
All remastered?
No, it's just the original game.
Oh, okay.
DuckTales Remastered is its own, like, it's a completely separate game from that.
Yeah.
Like, that's a whole different thing. So.
All right, let's probably get back on
Now we're
topic.
kinda
That's one heck of a tangent we got through.
Yeah, we kind of went a little bit of tangent there.
Let's focus back on to...
This is a
our
podcast. Anything can happen.
Anything goes.
All right, let's get to the next game then.
All right. So, Rogue Legacy. So, I mean, obviously, I think people have heard of it. I think we have a couple lined up that actually we were talking about. They're kind of like roguelike. Roguelite, or is it roguelike?
It's
I never
rogue.
know.
I think it's roguelike.
I think it's
just in general.
I think it's both.
Yeah.
It could be
Because
both
the
though.
document says roguelite.
Yeah. I always hear roguelite, and I'm like, is it like or light?
I think roguelite is, unlike
Because
version.
because I mean, Rogue was a game. God knows how far back that game came out, where it had things like permadeath and stuff like that. Like it was supposed to,
You know,
it was
like
a
a
game-
roguelike.
It was a
and
text-based
procedurally generated
Yeah.
thing. So whenever people talk about roguelike,
LGR. LGR actually made a whole video about it.
yeah,
It's a text-based DOS.
But
Yeah.
but
Permadeath.
granted, yeah.
yeah. Anyway, so basically, when people are talking about rogue games, we'll say they're talking about things where it's like procedurally generated, where no two playthroughs are going to be the same.
Like
So I think
dungeons
some other
randomly
game-
generated, something like that. And
Yeah, where it's kind of like they just it just generates the game as you go through. So you play through one time and okay, enemies here, enemies there, platforms there, and then the next time you play through, oh well, it's completely different. Like I go down here instead of up. Like it definitely causes you to think more.
Okay, so Google here says that roguelite is a subgenre of role-playing video games characterized by dungeon crawl through procedurally generated levels. No.
Yeah,
Just
and then
going-
technically, that's the
That's
definition.
the technical difference.
Now let's see what roguelite is. Roguelite is a subgenre of role-playing video games character. Okay, so it's the same thing.
Yeah, so I
But
think
it's like-
roguelike is supposed to be they're taking exact elements from Rogue and then Rogue. So, okay, so two different things. One is more trying to be exactly like it, and the other one's more just drawing aspects of it.
Yeah, it seems like from the name it's just
Seems
light.
like a whole video on itself. talking about
Interesting,
roguelites
so-
and roguelikes.
Ooh. Are you offering to make a video on this?
Interesting. Smell that.
Signed up.
Anyway, so
Anyway,
keep going off topic here. We keep getting these other things. we should talk
all right, then let's
All
go.
right,
Let's get back to the game.
Rogue Legacy is another one. I played the crap out of this game. It's really fun. It's got some RPG elements to it where you can unlock different, upgrade your health, get different abilities and stuff like that.
Sadly, I haven't played this one, but I really like the art style.
It's got some funny stuff to it because basically what happens is every time you die, you become the next generation. So you become like your descendants. And your descendants will
interesting.
have
Okay.
different things. Like you have gigantism or something like that. So your pixel will be giant, but what happens is then you can do more damage and stuff like that. So usually you have like positive attributes and negative attributes. So some
That's
things will be
interesting.
like color blindness, and then the whole game will be black and white. Stuff like there's just like
okay.
all these like little things that kind of like just take your gameplay and just kind of like it's like a roguelike, and it's also like your character itself has that like built into it. So your whole experience is every time you're going through the dungeon, it's always everything is randomly generated. So you're like, well, I thought I'd go up here to get to the next area. Okay, next time, oh no, now I gotta go down to the left, and like all the enemies. are
Okay,
different.
so when you die, your predecessor can't find your ancestors' like weapon cache or anything like that. 'Cause this
Yeah,
is-
like
is
you
that
kind of like
possible?
really, it's one of those games. Like I always find roguelike games are always the way to progress. It always expects you to die a
Some.
lot. Like part of the game is dying, but what it is you get gold. So what happens is to start off the game, you have no gold. You go through the game, you die, and what happens is just before you enter the castle, there's death there, and he goes, well, I'll take all your gold to allow you to carry on. So what happens is you have to spend all your gold before you go back into the dungeon. But you can use your gold to buy things like, health upgrades or better weapons, stuff like that. So basically, every playthrough you're more powerful, and I think that's something that really helps the genre is that you're always developing your character as you're playing through. So it's not like you're just bashing your head against the wall and dying. And being
It's
"Oh,
not
that
like
sucks."
you just keep playing the same level over and over exactly the same way.
Demon
Yeah.
Souls.
But it's almost as if
That's not a roguelike game.
it's
though.
almost as if there's like a randomizer for your character every single time you die.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much exactly what it is. And I mean, that can go both ways. Like, if you take a game, for example, like Dead Cells, it's another good example of a roguelike game. Like, fantastic game.
I have that game. I haven't played it,
Why
unfortunately.
you don't play? Do you not play video games?
Backlog.
Yeah.
Here we go. I got to do that backlog, but back on topic here.
But like Dead Cells, for example, what it is there's pros and cons to games that are like that, like the roguelites where they're procedurally generated. Because sometimes you go through and it's just like everything just clicks. You get like all like the best weapons and the best upgrades and stuff like that as you're playing through, and other times you're just not getting anything that really like jives with your play style. So it definitely causes you to think on the fly a lot more, I think, to play it, because you can't play to a certain style. You need to play more to what you're getting your hands on. And this one's not so much like that. Like, this one's more just like, as you keep playing through, you're going to keep getting more powerful. As you get more powerful, obviously you're going to progress further in it. So it's a little bit more basic in that sense. But these are more like, I want to say like the beginnings of these style of games.
How old is this one? Sorry.
According to...
I don't think I have that in there.
2013.
Okay, so it's not that old.
No. Well, like I said before, I think we were saying like the big... a lot of these started like 2007, and really I think around 2011, like with Mega Man 9 is really where it started to pick up, where it became more mainstream, I guess, where they're starting to do a lot. You'd see a lot more games like this that would come out and be popular. But anyway, so that was Rogue Legacy.
Yeah, and I remember it's like around 2012, 2013, it was basically the start of the 8th generation. So I'm guessing there's a bunch of people just wanting retro games at this point, because
I think
we were
it's
getting to that point.
You're getting to that age too, like where you have that nostalgia, and you see that a lot with like collecting going in cycles. Where collecting got big for like NES and Super Nintendo and Genesis and stuff like that, are probably around the same period. So yeah, actually, thinking about like kind of later 2000s is really when it really started to kind of pick up again. So I think it's just kind of like stuff coming out at the right time and everything just kind of triggering that nostalgia for people really allowed these things just to really start to flourish, which, like I said before, is nice for independent developers, because it allowed... Like, I know some of these games were developed by, like, 2 people or, like, 1 person. They just sit down. Yeah, you don't have this giant team of 40 people working on the game and you're watching credits for 6 hours. It's just, like, 2 dudes who are just like, hey, you know what?
Ubisoft.
Oh, my God. And isn't it around this time where it's like we saw, like, micro consoles, like, oh, my God, don't even get started. Ouya? Remember that thing?
That thing was just crappy mobile games.
Ouya, Game Stick.
The Microsoft Zune of home consoles.
Hell, even PlayStation got their thing with like PlayStation TV, and wow, like there was just a bunch.
PSP was not bad.
It wasn't that bad.
It was just a PS Vita in a box.
It wasn't bad, but
It was kind of its own thing.
All right.
All right, so
get to the
next one
game.
we're talking about is Cursed Castilla. Another one, I mean, a lot of these games, I played the hell out of them. Like this one, I love Ghouls and Ghosts. Like, it's definitely drawing that high difficulty level on it. It's hard.
It looks good, though.
Looks good. It's got that...
Like, it's even, like I said, a lot of them, they know what they're going for. They take that style and they just kind of roll with it. Like this, you're playing as a knight and you're throwing... It's got like, well... In our screenshot there, you got the 3 knives and stuff like that.
Just like Ghost and Goblins.
So it's got like...
Ghost and Ghosts.
It's all those little pieces that they take to kind of meld it all together and really give you that full picture. So you have like even the layouts of the UI and stuff like that. Really, like almost like every little piece of it's meticulously crafted to like trigger those synapses to fire off and be like, yeah, this is Ghouls and Ghosts.
But look, Ramon, look closely at the screenshot. What do you see in the screenshot?
What on earth?
Scan lines. Look, scan lines.
It's as if they had like the filter on, and
Ramon loves scan lines.
like I do. It's just there is a certain extent to scan lines that when it's like too much. But I think
this looks good.
This looks good though, to be honest.
Cursed Castilla, if you like Ghouls and Ghosts, you like a high difficulty, check it out. Really fun game. There's not really a whole lot to say to it. I mean, it's not. I know they just came out with the new Ghouls and Ghosts Resurrected, I think it
Something
was,
like
for the
that.
Switch.
Oh, God.
So, I mean, hey, if you want to go check out another one, check out
That's
Cursed
like a-
Castilla.
Okay, what Cursed Castilla? What is okay? It's on the Switch. Is it on?
It's on the Switch. It's on PS. Like, I think pretty much everything we're gonna mention on here, I'd say it's just a rule of thumb. It's gonna be on all the new consoles. It's gonna be on PS.
Sounds
Yeah,
like I got a
PS4.
shopping list.
Yeah,
That's
it's gonna
like
be
a
on
good
PS4. It's
shopping
gonna be on Xbox One. Some of them, you could buy with LRG games. A lot of them just came out though as just like digital only. I think a lot of that because, again, if it's independent developers and stuff like that developing it, it's easier. It's less risk to just do a digital release.
Yes.
They're not spending money on doing a minimum print run, stuff like that.
Distribution licenses, getting stuff in the retailers.
It gets a lot more complicated when they start having to do stuff. But, I think a lot of it is people that they grew up loving these things, and then they really brought that forward to make these games. And they know the feeling of playing those games, so they really are able to draw on that and really bring that forward when they make these games. But Curse Castilla is actually one I want to get an LRG of. I actually really like that.
Yeah, there are some games that deserve a physical release.
Yeah, they do.
That one did have an LRG, actually. I know that for PS4, at least.
Yeah, that topic about physical games is probably a good topic in itself, but that's not for today.
There's a lot of things we're going to kind of touch on here that just briefly gloss over. That's kind of I think that's a whole another conversation. So.
Yeah. Like for PS4, EDF5 was digital only in North America, but in the rest of the world, it was physical. So
I always find that weird when they just do it in a specific region. I suppose certain things that they just know it's going to do better. Like I know like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure was always bigger in Japan than it was.
Not
in
many
North
people
America.
know about JoJo's in North America.
Yeah, but JoJo's great.
So I went
it's good though.
So I went through the extra expense because the PS4 is not region locked. I went through the extra expense of getting the Hong Kong version of EDF5 because it has English in it. So when you pop in the Hong Kong disc into your PS4, it sees that you're in North America, and then it enables all the English. So the game is fully in English, fully translated in English. If you get the Japanese one, it's purely Japanese. So
that makes sense, but region locking is not really supposed to be a thing anymore because
I think they stopped that with PS4. I don't think it was
PS4 is not the Xbox.
I know
like
I think PS3 is
360 was, and I'm pretty sure.
The 360 had it, but that depended on the developer most of the time.
Yeah, they basically give it up to the developer to do it. I don't think PS3 was region locked, though, because I know you can get things like Siren Blood Curse.
Yeah.
That was European only.
Yeah.
PS2 definitely was.
Yeah, PS2 definitely was.
I believe the Wii U was basically the last major one that had region locking.
Yeah, it's funny calling Wii U a major console, but
but it kind of is.
So on the PS3, it appears that it's region locked if the game is written that way.
Oh, okay.
The console itself is.
So it's the same thing than the 360.
It's up to the developer.
It was up to the developer because I know for the 360 it had games like a lot of the cave shooters were not region locked, but I think a vast majority of the games were region locked.
All PS3 games except for Persona 4 and Way of the Samurai 3 are region free on the PS3. Why those two games aren't? I don't know.
I don't know. I suppose. Well, I mean, again, if the developer decided to do it, but I don't know why they.
Unless there's content in those games that can't be exported outside of Japan, I don't know.
No, I mean I know both are on PS3 released maybe they made a second release that was North American only. They changed something,
or maybe they're like, hey, we're too lazy to translate this, so Japan only.
I mean, I don't think they have the same. Okay. Stop right there because we're gonna get in this whole conversation about talking about different regions.
That'll be for another
time. I start doing like regional conversions and what they're taking out. I was gonna start talking about
again another topic in itself. It's something definitely to keep in mind. But
which kind of a little bit ties into our next one here, which is Curse of the Moon 1 and 2.
And
I should say it's Bloodstained Curse of the Moon.
I don't know which one I've got. I've got one. It's
do you have Ritual of the Night?
Ritual of the Night is the main, 3D sort of game, and then you got Curse of the Moon. That's basically like that ties into it.
So I think what it was that Bloodstained Ritual of the Night was the original. It was kickstarted, and it was by the composer of Symphony of the Night. I think
that is
the
correct.
One that really started the whole thing.
I do have a Bloodstain, but I can't see what it is from here. I think it's Curse of the Moon.
Well,
is it the second one?
Well,
you would have had if you have it on physical. It's gonna be Curse of the Moon.
Okay.
Because Ritual of the Night,
Ritual of the Night.
I always confuse the two. I don't know.
Ritual of the Night is basically the very game that was kickstarted, and then later on they did release Curse of the Moon in order to appease fans.
I think what part of it was too is that Curse of the Moon actually came out before Ritual of the Night.
Correct. That's correct.
They started the Kickstarter with Ritual of the Night. It was coming out, they're developing it, and then people were getting super excited about it, and they said, okay, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do one that's like Castlevania. So they did Curse of the Moon, which is it really draws from Castlevania 3.
Oh, yes.
Where you have multiple characters, like even the style, because you have the one character's got the whip, the one's got You got like
Magic.
Sypha, you have Alfred instead, so he uses
Yes.
magic and stuff like that. So they really like same thing. They really know what they pick their inspiration and then they really try to. I don't even want to say like replicate it, but it's just
You drew from it.
core. They want to take the core of those games and then kind of build their own wrapping around that. So you still have that same feeling to it, but you also know that it's got its own feel and life to it. It's its own game that's really
It's a
different.
fantastic game. I mean, I love Symphony of the Night. I've probably finished it like 10 or 12 times.
Yeah, Symphony of the Night
That's
is kind of a
smooth.
godlike game at this point.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, they really started the Metroidvania right,
HD
where-
remake. HD remake. Please.
With Konami being what it is.
It'll be a pachinko machine.
It probably is. It probably
I
is.
think they actually made a Castlevania pachinko machine. I'm
They
not
did.
even joking because I remember reading it and I was like, wow.
Oh my God.
Like, oh good lord. Why?
Oh God, why? My faith is very low for such a remake, but you just never know these days. But we're hoping
know.
there's like inside of us was like we're hoping that there's a remake sometime.
Just do what every other company has done and just license it, farm it out, and let somebody else do it.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
Like, I
that's
mean,
it.
you
mean-
can even make that a whole another conversation where you're talking about games that are actually like IREM licensing out Metal Storm to be re-released as an
Someday.
LRG, right? Like, that's another big thing that's been starting to happen is where companies will actually take their old IPs, license it out for somebody to make a remake of it, and they basically just make the exact same game and re-release it. And,
Sega.
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 Oh, we're gonna get to that for sure when we get to something like Streets of Rage. We're
Mario
gonna-
and
I think,
Sonic
like I said,
at the
that's actually-
Olympics?
That's a good topic for another day, is to actually talk about those games that have actually been where companies have licensed out their IPs for somebody else to develop. those games
Definitely.
later.
Well, we'll basically can talk about that for Streets of Rage 4.
Well, sort of. We can touch on it for
Less.
sure.
We can touch on it a little bit. But yeah, anyway, so Curse of the Moon 1 and 2. So like I said, basically it really draws parallels to Dracula's Curse for the NES. You have multiple characters. It's 2D side-scrolling game. I'm trying to think. It doesn't really draw too much from... It doesn't really draw so much from like Symphony of the Night. That's more so Ritual of the Night that really draws from it. But Curse of the Moon actually was like a prequel to Ritual of the Night. So it's supposed to
yeah,
take
something
place
like that.
before, but it's kind of cool where they have it tie in, right? You have characters from one appear in the next one
It's something like
and
that.
everything like that. But that was a fantastic game. Like another one, I really loved it. I played the hell out of it.
I played
Both
the
of
hell out
them,
that
I
one, too.
played the hell out of.
Yeah, it was
you
something
know,
a really amazing
Bloodstain.
game.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And
Was the Curse of the Moon, was that on PS3 or?
No.
it was like for the more modern consoles.
Yeah,
of
it
sort.
went for
PS4?
It would be PS4.
It would be on
Xbox
PS4,
One. Like
Xbox
I said,
One.
I'm pretty sure. Like I'd say, like 99% of these games we're talking about, because really the resurgence of this all started in like 2007. So you figure it really started picking up like 2009, and that was kind of like really in the. Well, I suppose 360 was still around.
The
then.
tail
They still-
end of like
Yeah.
the 7th gen consoles. Like when
Yeah.
we're about to get to the next generation.
Yeah, so there's some that still have like crossover, like Mega Man 9 and 10 still, I believe, are both on 360, but then other ones weren't. Blah blah blah.
Right, and I understand that like Bloodstained is like at the same time when Mighty Number 9 was having its Kickstarter. At least with like Bloodstained, they nailed the Kickstarter this time around.
yeah.
They did. Unlike
They did.
Mighty Number 9.
Yeah.
Like they even like, I think there was like some sort of like Kickstarter video where it's like, oh, like look at what we've done so far, but a lot of people are commenting like how the graphics suck. And
Yeah, because I remember there was the whole thing. There was a whole controversy too with Ritual of the Night, where people were complaining like, "Oh, the graphics don't look so good."
And the creator basically
and he's
said,
like, "What the really?"
Yeah, didn't they release a patch that redid all the graphics?
Yeah, they did.
They did. Yeah.
They basically
actually went and they
said,
said, "Oh, okay, yeah, you want
you want
that?"
better graphics?
Yeah,
And they did.
here's
They
some better graphics.
delivered on it for
Yeah.
sure.
That was something that's kind of like you could see, like it almost felt like it was gonna kind of fail. It's gonna be like, "Oh, fuck, another Mighty Number 9."
And it
and then
did.
and then they actually listened to their fans and they actually took that to heart and were like, not. It's almost that being not too proud to be wrong, right? Like like well, maybe
It was like really a classy video that says it's like, okay, you want better graphics? We'll give you better graphics.
yeah, exactly. I think that video too. I think it was actually the director, like the again, it was Koji Igashira. I cannot say names.
Yeah, boy. we
No,
probably screwed that
basically,
up.
he was the one who was the composer for Symphony of the Night. I think he was actually in the video, and they were actually kind of referencing back to like
I think
Rondo of Blood, where he's sitting there like in a
like,
chair with a glass
"Die,
of wine,
monster."
and, like, yeah,
it's like
Die,
you don't belong
die,
in this
die,
world.
monster. What is man if not just a?
It was like a really good
pile of
reference.
lies.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God, the
But
voice
that's the thing.
acting.
Like he knew what he was. He
Have
knew
at you.
exactly kind of like to get to just like hit that like people will remember that moment and they'll remember stuff like
Yeah.
that. And it kind of
It was very classy. It was like prime, like, okay, you literally actually listen. This is
It's
great.
not like he came out and was like, "I'm sorry, the graphics are not what I expected them to be." He
I
just had fun with it. He's like, "Oh, whatever. You want something better? Here you go."
Bam.
I have
There
a
it
feeling.
is.
I have a feeling that he was trying to channel Symphony of the Night to the point where he used the same, artwork style. And
Yeah,
then people
I mean,
people are like, I don't want PSX graphics. I want,
Modern graphics.
Yeah,
modern
it came with
2D
that. It was
graphics,
like
yeah.
that 2.5D style that
Yeah.
really like it kind of like makes things pop out, but it still keeps the heart and soul of a 2D game.
I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard rumors that Symphony of the Night isn't actually a 2D game. It's a 2D background, yes, but all the sprites in the game are flat 3D characters.
I think so.
I heard that rumor. I don't know if it's true or not, but
Then again, you got like Symphony of the Night also, released on the Sega Saturn, so could be debated.
Yeah,
I have the Sega Saturn version. The interesting thing about the Sega Saturn version is number one, there's no transparency in the game because
Saturn
nobody. Well, you could, but you'd have to manually code it in, which nobody would go through.
it's like a mesh thing.
And
with
number two,
Saturn.
you had the choice of playing as Maria on the Sega Saturn,
Yeah, that's the thing.
yeah, that was
but not on the PlayStation version.
Which is odd.
yeah.
I've played through the PSX version multiple times, but I've not played through the Saturn one. So I'm not sure if when you beat the game, it flips the castle upside down and you can get up to 204%
Something
or
like-
whatever.
yeah.
I don't know if that exists on the Saturn.
I don't know. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, definitely good
That's
thing.
kinda why I've been
The
meaning
lack
to
of transparency on the Saturn one doesn't actually hurt the game because they
Yeah,
didn't
you gotta work
code
around it.
transparency into it, but they got around it and it looks good.
Yep.
So
Let's
anyway,
go.
Anyway, we kind of we're getting too into Castlevania
Let's get
there because I
to,
think we all love those games.
So the next game we're going to talk about is Golf Story, and I personally haven't played this, but when I saw the screenshot for it, and I guess the screenshot is either from the Wii U or the Wii, this looks like a golf game that takes place in the Mother universe because it has very Mother style.
Yeah,
graphics
like
to
the
it.
the
Mother /
Earthbound and
Earthbound, yeah.
Earthbound's has Mother kind of style.
Yeah,
I'll be-
I'm gonna be upfront and like the next two here. I'm like, I don't really know how much I have to add because I haven't really played them. So I'm
No,
like,
I haven't played this one either until you listed it. I've
it's
never
golf.
heard of
It's
it.
an RPG. That's all I know.
I mean, what else do you really need to know? It's like at this point, you just pretty much
So-
What do
play
you
the
want
game.
from me?
So
play the game.
Are you
Golf.
Are you golfing a hole and these monsters show up and then you have to kill them, or like what kind
You
of
know that would
RPG?
be freaking cool if it did.
Is Undertale.
Oh yeah,
Which, again,
Undertale is
I have
quite
not
the
played
game.
this, but I always hear so much about this game, so I'm kind of like, it's got to
don't-
be included in there. Like, I don't know how you talk about a game like we're talking about games like this, and you don't include Undertale because it's
This-
just so, it's different.
I've never played it, but from the screenshot here, it gives me like the old Lucasfilm games kind of vibes.
Yes, because of the probably the text that gives it away,
like Day,
especially.
like,
Yeah,
like
like
Day
the
of the
text
Tentacle,
style.
like
Yeah.
Day of the Tentacle kind
Well,
of.
I
graphics.
think the thing
Yeah.
with the game is like it's an RPG game, but the whole idea being in the game is you can do a complete pacifist run where you don't have to like, it's
Have you
it's like
played it?
I haven't played it, but that's the thing.
Okay.
Like I haven't played it, but it's one of those games that I've always been like I always hear so much about it, and you're just like it's so different. Like fighting bosses is not like okay, like an RPG, and you're casting abilities and healing and everything like that. Like it's like
Yeah,
little
it's a
mini
typical
games. It's
RPG.
like little mini games and stuff like that. that
It
you're
seems to
playing.
have a cult following.
There's a
Yeah.
sizable fan base of this thing, and I can tell you, it's quite the fan base.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I said, it's kind of one of those things where it's hard to talk about games like this and not mention certain ones like that. Where you're just like you got to talk about Undertale. Like
You gotta-
even
you
if you've
gotta.
never played, you're like I don't know. I can kind of give you secondhand knowledge of what it seems to be like and things I've heard about it. But I think it's coming out to Xbox.
Well, if you have
soon.
Game Pass as well, it is coming to at the time of this podcast. It's gonna come to Xbox Game Pass. So if you've never tried it, you will now have the chance to actually try it.
It's
Yeah.
also
Game
on the
Pass.
PS4.
Yeah, so I mean, there we can all experience it at the same time.
Absolutely,
I'll try
definitely
this
a
one.
game that if we didn't mention it, we'd be ragged on.
Yeah, no, they'd be like, "How can you not mention Undertale? Have you never?" I'm like, "Fuck, I've never played it. I want to."
Yeah, the amount of people that says, "Why didn't you play Undertale?" is like, do you know what Undertale is? Like, it's so many.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's like even people who've never played it will be. it's so talked about. It's so like you have to try it kind of thing.
You
And it's-
gotta.
just haven't had the opportunity to do
It makes
but
sense.
We had to mention it.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Okay.
Enter the Gungeon. There's another
Ooh,
one.
Enter
So
the
we're kind
Gungeon.
of like we're talking more about roguelites again.
Yes, this one I own and this one I've played. It's
I think this one's by Devolver.
yes.
Devolver Digital.
Yeah, I think I got this in a Devolver Humble Bundle because I have a whole bunch of these type of games.
I think they made a couple other games like this. So again, it's another one. It's a roguelike game.
You know what to
It kind of
expect.
plays like I want to say it plays almost like a Smash TV.
Yes.
Like it's the
Because
it's
of
a
the way it's
rogue-
done.
It's a
twin-
roguelite Smash TV kind
yeah,
of mishmash.
like twin stick shooters.
Yes, especially the twin stick because
Yeah.
Smash TV.
And I
Yeah,
love the
exactly.
fact that it's ammunition with guns that is shooting at you like giant bullets.
Yeah,
with
it's got
guns.
that kind of comedic vibe to it, where you're fighting living bullets for part of it.
It's like
Yeah.
I think it's some ridiculous stuff like that, but apart from the course, it's a roguelike game. They could put anything in there
I
at
mean,
this point.
it's honestly a really fun game. Like I said, it's a roguelite. It's
It does have permadeath, but it's not procedurally generated. It seems like it's the same. Unless it's the same rooms, but they just rearrange the rooms, because...
well, it is procedurally generated. It's not permadeath though, I wouldn't say, because still everything you've unlocked still carries forward. Like permadeath to me is more like when you
Start over
die,
from scratch.
like that's it. Like
That's
everything.
it. You have to go back to the beginning
It
kind of
eats
deal.
it eats your disc and spits it out at you with nothing left, and you got to
It's
go
like
to the
you
store
nuked
and
your
buy it
thing,
again.
and that's
It seems like it has a bunch of rooms, and then it just rearranges them every time.
Yeah,
you know?
but I mean that's roguelike games, right? Like it always is
Yeah,
just
I'm
the
not-
whole dungeon is procedurally generated, and it's kind of like abilities you unlock are going to carry forward, blah blah blah.
It's a fun game.
It's a really fun game. Yeah, it's another one that I played the crap out of
guess
it.
you could classify it as a twin stick shooter, I guess.
It technically
It
is.
like there is definitely like I don't want to say like
Smash
bullet hell
T-
elements to it, but there's bosses where
oh, it's
filling the
definitely
screen
bullet
with
hell.
bullet.
It's a bullet hell.
But bullet hell for me is more like the cave shooters where it's like you're like one little dot moving around your screen's full
And
of
it's
shots.
just-
I'm like it's not
Yeah.
quite that bad. It's like
Where's my hitbox? Where's my hitbox? Oh, damn.
It's
yeah,
like
it's,
we're-
it's not like a Raiden. It's not like those cave shooters stuff like that.
It's like we're getting to like Tuhu territory.
Yeah, it's got those elements to it where it is like a lot of a lot of going on at the same time. It's a really fun game. Really suggest checking it out.
Yep.
So that one was Enter the Gungeon.
Yep.
That concludes part 1 of the Retzone.ca podcast. Our first podcast ended up being 2 hours, so we figured it would be easier to watch in 2 parts. Please check out part 2, and please like, comment, and subscribe for more great content on Retzone.ca.